Hi there, this is Srikanth Ansari. So, in this lesson, we are going to learn about how to build a class for an employee. Okay. So, in the last couple of lessons, we have learned about the various ways to design a class and to have to set the access specifiers and to define methods, also known as member functions in C++. Okay. So now we are going to focus on the more classic example like real-time scenarios, like building a class for an employee and the next subsequent lessons a class for a student. Okay, so let me launch the IDE. We know that we are using Visual Studio 2013 Express for Windows Desktop. So let me create a new project here. So file, new project. Okay. So let me name my project as click the general and empty all the standard procedure. Let me name my project as employee, or let's say employee class. Okay. So just creates an empty directory structure in the solution explorer here. So let me take a new .cpp file. Let's take the source files folders, the source files folder. Let's right click and add a new item, code file .cpp, and let's say so employee.cpp, whatever you wanted, employee.cpp here. Okay. So Visual Studio creates us a new blank .cpp file. So first let me add the couple of header files which were most essential. Everstream as conio.h, although not necessary. Okay. So so first take a class. Before that, let's add this using namespace std also. So it was stream. We were missing something here. So first let us take this using namespace std, very standard thing, and now let's build our class here. So let's say class, the name of the class is going to be employee. Okay, so as we have said, so automatically the class, the ending of the class syntax is parenthesis followed by the semicolon here. Okay, so what we are going to do is let's take some private data members in our class employee. Let's say typically an employee consists of an EMP number, so that's what we are going to take in the form of a variable here, int EMP number. Let's say char name of 20 or 30 or 50, whatever you wanted according to your requirements. Typically an employee consists of a salary also. Let's say float sal. Okay. So these are the very basic details of any employee class you are going to build here. Okay, so let's define our methods. Let's say void get emp, so details. So void get emp details. So it's going to be the name of our method here, and let's define another method also. Let's say void put emp details or show. So meaningful names is what expected from any kind of programmer or a student. To You have to keep in mind that whatever you are going to implement should reflect at the if the outside person or a third person looks into your code, he should get an idea that you are intended to write, that you have written this method to do specific tasks here. Okay, so as soon as he looks into your code, it should be readable and very focused on what's your implementation is. Okay, so that's the reason it's always a good practice to give very meaningful names to your methods, not just a, b, or foo, bar and bash, something like that. So first let us have our very basic printf statement. Sorry, since we are in C++, we need to use this cout to standard output, to send output to the standard output, which is monitor. So let's say so enter the employee number, something like that. Right, so enter the employee number. Let's say cn, okay, emp number here. Okay, and let's take a cout statement once again, slash and slash t. Enter the employee name, enter the employee name, scene name here. Okay, and let's say another CO statement for just grabbing the input for salary. So enter the employee salary. Okay, so scene send here. Okay, so we have just taken grabbed the input from the keyboard. So for that we have designed this. So now we are looking into the very classic and basic example for an employee class. Okay, so this is going to be a mere example to understand our class concept here. Okay, so private data, so whatever the data you need to hide from the user, which is also known as a data abstraction concept, you need to keep under the private section here. So whatever methods or operations you perform on that data you need to keep them in the public section here, such that the user of the programmer will be able to access these methods outside the class here. Okay, now let's output the data. So whatever we have grabbed from the user, let's say so employee details. Okay, so just a small stupid and silly message. Let's say cout /t, excuse me, let's say the name of the employee. So all these messages are not mandatory. The name of the employee, name. Okay, so whatever the name you have taken inside that variable. Okay, so name you have given just name here. Okay, so in the same way you can have cout /t, the name, the employee number, so the employee number. Okay, so you can say EMP number. So that's what you have taken here. So EMP number. Now let's take another cout statement, the one last cout statement for displaying the salary. Right, the salary of the employee is going to be, more or less every employee has some salary. So let's say salary here. Okay, so I have just taken so classic example for we have just built a class which is an example of encapsulation, where the data members and so data members are going to be always taken in the private section, and the member functions or methods taken in the public section. So the first method is used to grab the data from the user. Okay, so now what we are going to do is let's, in the main method, in the main function, so let's create an object for our employee class. Let's say employee E1. Okay, so you have just created an object, and now what we are going to do is we have, using the dot operator, we are just calling the method or member function. So whatever we have taken inside the employee class here, and also so let's call the other member function also, show emp data. Right, so now we are done with our class definition, the very basic class of an employee, and we have just used call the methods using our employee. So let's have a couple of comments here. Member functions fall under the public section. Okay, so data members, so these are going to be the data members here. So data members fall under the private section, private section of the class. Okay, so in the same way we have created an object for our employee class, which is going to be E1. Creating an object, let's have a comment. Well commented code is always what we expect from an able programmer here. So creating an object for our class employee using the class name followed by the name of the object. Okay, so calling the member functions, that's what we have done here. Calling the member functions, so calling the member functions using the using the object E1. Okay, So we're done with our class. Now if you run our program using the F5 button here, if everything goes well, it should ask, automatically call the member function and asks us for the input here. Okay, that's everything went well. So let's increase the font size a bit. Okay, so font, so all these things are very basic and essential things here, which could have been done before the executing of the program. And now we have let's put some employee number here, and for the name, let's type my name here, Srikanth Dasari. Okay, and salary, it's not asking here. That's the reason, because we haven't used this @flush stdin after the name, or else one thing to do, @flush stdin, which is a very basic thing which we would do. Okay, it's a very basic thing which we would do here. Okay, so again I'm running the program, and it's asking for employee number 1, and let me say type my name here, Srikanth Dasari. It's now asking, since we have cleared the buffer, and previously it would have taken the enter key which we have pressed after the entering the string here. Okay, so here we have taken some 20,000. Okay, so employee details, just displaying here. Okay, so whatever the details we have entered, let's do one more clear thing. Let's clear the screen using our system CLS. Right. Okay, so let's use this system CLS here function, which is specific to the Visual Studio, so not on all IDEs here which were used here. Okay, so again I'm running the program, and I'm just entering the number, employee number 1, and Srikanth Dasari, and employee salary some sort of 20,000. So here you are. So whatever the details you have entered, since Srikanth Dasari is not printing here, the reason behind that, because so I have taken a single string 50, and the blank spaces were not included here, so I could have taken 2 different forms as first name or last name, or else we can use this gets function, which might not work in our this, what do you call, CLP environment. So gets name. Let's see what happens now. So no, okay, gets yes. So it says gets yes might work here. Maybe employee. It's just skipping the name. I'm just putting the flush stdin in the beginning here, so see whether it works. 1. Okay, so Srikanth Dasari, salary is some 20,000. Yes. Okay, so here the normal gets s function is deprecated in our Visual Studio environment. So getS function, which is the one we use instead of using the scene function, whenever you need to have grab the input in both the different forms of first name, last name. Typically the names would be followed by the first name and last name, so that's the reason we have using the getS function here. Okay, so again I'm doing the output for one last time here. So if you want to grab the input using the gap when you're dealing with strings, so you need first name and last name, both of them. So in that cases you need to use that getS function. And get underscore yes is very specific to this Visual Studio environment, which I am using as an ID here. So salary, let me again 20,000. Okay, so this is the basic stuff how to build an employee class here. Okay, to summarize once again, here we have taken a simple employee class which consists of 3 data members: employee name, number, and float salary. So here we are and grabbing the employee details using the get emp details function, and show emp data function just outputs whatever the data you have entered. Okay, so in the main function we have created an object e1 for our employee class, and we have just called the outputs using the dot operator here. Okay, so see you in the next lesson. Goodbye.